Hi everyone, thank you for joining us today. This is Maria from Tea and Telly, and we are going to be doing a segment here today on one of the authors, and she has other wonderful talents to share with us too that I have many questions about. And thank you so much for joining us today. Would you like to introduce yourself for our viewers?
Sure. My name is Dana Storino, and I recently wrote a book called The Golden Bee. Actually, the title before was called Best in Class. It's just the working title now is called The Golden Bee. And it is about a girl who's 12 years old, and she has ADHD, and she goes to a school located in Chicago, and it's kind of like a gifted charter school. You have to be really smart to get in there. So we're kind of breaking some stigmas about kids with ADHD. A lot of them are really intelligent, highly intelligent. They're not all, in the diverse learners classrooms. Lots of them are in the gifted programs or STEAM schools, charter schools. So I kind of wanted to put that aspect into it. And basically in her grade, the 6th grade class has a STEAM competition, and it's an entrepreneurial one where they have to create a business, and they have to sell their products. They have to record how much they sell. They have to market. They have to but all in all, they have to be nice to each other. There's 4 groups in the class, so 4 groups of kids. Each group has their own little business. My protagonist's business, she thinks she's the ideas person, so she comes up with the idea. That's her thing, and she decides to do a tutoring service for the younger kids in her area. So they devised this tutoring service, and they're up against a dog walking business, a hot dog stand, an online boutique, and then they're the tutoring service. So it's just, they have to, the point of this is, not only to do well and sell and make the profits, but they also have to be kind to each other, and they have to respect each other's businesses and play fair, which is teacher in the story, Mr. B. That's his kind of respect, is his kind of motto in life. I always respect everybody else, which is something personally that I think that we've kind of really not put as much focus on as we should as a society. I think we're really losing respect for each other and other people's beliefs and differences. I really do. So I really
right. No, that's great, and that you mentioned that that they have to be kind. And it's funny you have to emphasize that, because it is something that's becoming difficult for people. And so I was wondering, I think you and I have talked before that I have dyslexia. Mr. from Tea and Telly there, passing by, sneaking by.
Hey.
He said hi. He's waving at you.
Yeah, I'm the strange looking guy wandering back.
The strange looking guy.
You got a strange Brit in your house.
Yeah, I harbor Brit.
You do?
Yes,
Brit Harbor.
a Brit harbor. I just keep them chained in the back.
You're coming out now.
Yeah, it is. Everybody's gonna know, right? Anyway, I was gonna say, when I was growing up, and I'm not just talking about myself here because I want to plug it into something actually, I found it difficult, and I wasn't really treated differently from the kids so much. I know they probably thought I wasn't the brightest thing in the world, but I don't think they knew exactly that what was the issue. It was the teachers that actually treated me a little bit different. Back in that time, I don't know if a lot of teachers really understood it. So they kind of told my mom, they felt concerned that I wasn't, paying attention and things like that. Even though I picked things up, it was actually the teachers who made it sound like I wasn't really all that together. This to me, and I had no idea about dyslexia. I didn't know until I was in college. I actually did not know about, and I think a lot of people don't know. They're hearing it more and more, but I don't think a lot of people know about ADHD. And I think that's why I want to help people understand more too, why the book is important. One reason I wanted to do is because John and I are huge readers. We read books, we love books, and we go crazy over books. And I love authors, especially those that aren't like Stephen King selling a bazillion books, but people that are really, really wanting to get something out, whatever it is, whether it's scary, funny, whatever. In this case, yours has definitely hit home to a lot of people. And so we support authors a lot. I know I do. And so I wanted to get you here for that, but also to help educate people more about ADHD and talk about that, because it is kind of important that even if someone's child doesn't suffer from it, I think it's important that they learn and educate their children on it so that they understand that they don't have to treat somebody special for it. They're like anybody else, intelligent, like you said. It's just a little bit harder to maybe for that person to understand what that person with ADHD is feeling or going through. And I'm hoping you can highlight that.
Yes. And, I love everything you brought up because, it's not even just teaching your kids to kind of have like awareness and understanding, compassion, but it's also adults with other adults too, as well. I mean, I know for myself, like one of the biggest symptoms that I had that I didn't even realize was a symptom was my issues with controlling emotion and, feeling anger and come on so strong, and I would react and an impulsivity too, because when you feel like that, your first reaction is to just lash out right away. Well, when you're an adult, you can't act like that anymore. That's kind of like a child like behavior. So I didn't even realize that was part of the ADHD. I just thought that I was like, I had a temper, like, something's wrong. But the more I studied about it, because like you said, when we were younger, there wasn't much out there, and thankfully I had a really great mom that brought me to get tested, and she knew something wasn't right. The teachers were not helpful. I went to private school. So, they were just calling me Edith Bunker or a ditz or an airhead. I mean, in front of everybody. This is a totally different time. Shaming was like their only, way of trying to get you to be like everybody else and fit that square peg in a circle hole. Mm-hmm. Like it wasn't going to happen, even with all the shaming. I couldn't focus. And I specifically remember sitting there telling my mom, I cannot concentrate. Like it finally just hit me, and I was able to verbalize that to her. So luckily, she took me in. But, this symptom with the emotional stuff, I work as a paraprofessional, and I noticed it with the kids that I work with that have ADHD. A lot of them get into fights with each other. There's a lot of fighting or, arguments or impulsive behaviors that they aggravate each other. And I see it, like they have to learn that that's part of, your disability too. And you have to learn how to manage that. The behavior goes along with like that you can't focus, you're unorganized, like, but it's not as known. It's not that cliche, oh, he has the ADHD, he's jumping around the room. Like that's right. Cliche. That happens, but there's so much more to this. There's also rejection sensitive dysphoria where that's another thing I have where I'm always feeling like somebody's mad at me, or I hurt their feelings, or I'm so like sensitive to the vibes they're giving me. I think it's all about me, and it's not, there's just and you always think you're bad at stuff or you're not good enough. And that's why, I think with this book, her teacher puts her as the leader. He wants her to prove to herself and to everybody else that she's not just her disability and her reaction stuff. She's going to learn how to control it. She's going to lead this group. She's going to do well. Like, he's giving her that confidence, and I love that, I love this teacher because I feel like these are the teachers, even where I work at my school, a lot of the teachers I basically modeled this teacher after a lot of the ones I work with. So they're a lot different now. They study disabilities. They, get their certifications on this stuff. So it's different now. So he's Mr. B in my book is more of how they are today. And I think it's great to show these kids like, yeah, you can be a leader. I bet you do have great ideas. Right. I bet you know, but he wants to learn to control her emotions, and she has to do that.
And I wanted to ask you about that. When you're doing this book, is it based on a bunch of different events, or is it based on one event? How is it? What did you come up with the idea of this?
I love this question because it's very weird how I came up. I wanted to write a middle grade book, and I was really inspired by Babysitter's Club. Anna Martin was probably my most favorite. Like, those were my most favorite books. Like, I was the nerd that was like, ooh, the next one's coming out, and waiting for it. But I love this series. I love, Francine Pascal and Sweet Valley Twins and Beverly Cleary and Ramona books. Like, I loved all those series. And I'm like, I want to write a series. I want to do something. I fell in love with the characters. They were like my friends. Like, I love these girls.
Right.
So I wanted to give this to a kid. I wanted to be like that author that can, make another kid feel that way. I love that feeling. So I'm like, I'm going to do a series. But then I had originally wrote the whole book, and then I didn't have the competition or anything in there. And then I did a complete rewrite and added it in. Then I did a complete rewrite again and changed their names. Like, I did so many rewrites because the ideas were coming like after,
Right.
and I mean, like when you're a writer, it's never, your first draft is your first draft. It's like
right.
putting all the sand in a box. Okay, it's here. Now I got to make a castle with it,
Yeah.
So you just got to do what you got to do. But a lot of the events in my story, I actually are culminated from my own life. Like, and I don't want to give too much away, but right. A lot of them are taken from things that happened to me in grade school or high school. So it's kind of neat to have all of these little pieces of my own life integrated into the story. So when I read it, it's personal kind of.
Right.
And a lot of the things that were, traumatic that happened to me, I put it in the book. So when I'm reading, it's kind of like therapeutic, like, oh, there it is. And I, meshed it all out with my own mind, and I made it, into this great story. So it's kind of a release, like, oh, there it is. All in.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that because I've always wanted to write, but because of my dyslexia, I didn't get to read a lot until I got to college, and then learned how to. And so now I want to learn everything, and I do everything. But putting words together is kind of difficult for me, so I feel like I repeat myself. But anyway, so I started writing. I have an idea. I've been doing this book, and I don't want to mention it because it's not really been done before, and I don't want anybody to steal my idea. But but I started writing this, and it is actually horror, but with a twist. And anyway, I noticed that I started writing it based on something that tormented me as a child, and I found that as I was writing it did help me face that. So I was wondering that about you too, is if it did help kind of make you feel like putting it down on paper was helpful, but then to read the end result, almost like, oh my gosh, I did it. Like it came out of you, now it's here. But then what I think you're finding, or what you're going to find, is that people are going to relate to this, and then you'll realize that you were not alone in this. That there's a lot of other people who are thinking, oh my gosh, I went through that too. And it's therapeutic for them on their end. So I think that is awesome that you can do that. And I'm also very, very proud of you in the sense where you did this. You accomplished it. You have this book. You have these things that you're doing to prove that you're not limited.
Right. And I thought about that too. I'm like, I don't have a publisher yet. I have an agent, but I don't have
an agent. Okay.
Submissions right now. We're cross publisher. But if it does go through, like, that's really neat. Like, I would hold that responsibility too, of being like, a kind of like someone that that, you know, anyone with a disability can kind of like look up to and be like, look, she did this. Like, it's not impossible to struggle. Like, you know, school was a struggle for me. It was not easy. I did not have an easy time at all. So, I mean, I wish I had somebody that I was like, oh my gosh, she had ADHD and look at her. She accomplished this. How amazing. Like, that's really cool. And she put a protagonist as a, you know, with ADHD, you know, in her book. That's awesome. Like, I don't know, like, I'm not, you know, trying to gloat or anything, but I just like that feeling that I can maybe inspire somebody.
Gloat? I mean, you earned it. It's okay to do that. Absolutely, I would.
Nice, like, you know, it's a cool feeling to know that, and to know that I, you know, will keep this, you know, I don't know, it's hard to explain. More like I realize the position I'm putting myself into, and I'll be responsible for keeping, you know, being a good person, and, you know, showing maybe kids that, you know, be a good person, have respect for others, you know, and you can accomplish whatever you want to accomplish. You know, that's a cool position to be in. It's really neat. And I love that. I
also love your blog site. I love the squirrel thing. I was like, oh, cute. And your picture is just stunning. But also the information and the things you have on there, even just writing about your day or whatever, I think it's kind of nice just to read that. And I don't know, I like blogs, but I don't know, some blogs are too... there's just way too much, and you're just looking at it going, oh my God. Yours is it's overwhelming. But yours is, and people, you have to go there and check it out. It is very well done. It's nice to look at, and you've got great information on it. So thank you for that, and keep writing on that. I definitely like that you're doing that as well.
Make anything too overwhelming. I'm like, I'm writing for people who are going to read this that may have ADHD. They're not going to sit here and read a 2-page essay of my day. Like,
and
let's keep.
That's what I meant. That's exactly how I meant. Is that you could tell you're still addressing those, because it was very. And I wanted to let you know that it was very good.
Thank you.
And easy read, and it had a lot of detail into it where you could feel the emotion, everything like that, but it wasn't so lengthy and overdone. And I think, and I kind of figured that you structured it for that.
Yeah, I try, because I know when I'm reading it, too much prose and too much, and the sentence structure is very complicated. I'm like, okay, I'm not sitting here sentences to figure out what you're trying to tell me. Like, I want to up, read this and feel some emotion, but yet, you know, get it quickly. Yeah.
You sound like my British husband. What's your point? Right, John? Right, John?
Give me the point of this. That's all.
You didn't do it. You don't even know what I'm accusing you of.
For that one.
He is hilarious. Yeah, I was just saying you were, if I try to explain something to you and you're just like, get to the point. What's the point?
That's right. Christmas comes but once a year, you know?
Oh, gosh. And then try to tell him a dream of mine, and he'll sit there and go, are you sure this is a dream? Because it is really long, Maria.
Detail.
It's called detail. Attention to detail, John.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. Anyway, no, I hope I'm not keeping you too long as well. I keep checking the time, make sure I'm not going over for you. But I mean, I had a bazillion questions, even combing my hair if I can. I'm gonna have to watch some of those YouTubes on how to comb hair. I told John I can't girl. I don't know how to girl. I have no idea how to girl. I was raised on a country, learned how to irrigate. I don't know about curling hair.
Yeah, I'm a city girl, so I've been girling since I was like 2.
I'm going to have to learn. Oh, well, you know, to be honest, I wanted to read the book, and, well, of course, because I wanted to find out what happens, as it's, your introduction is very captivating, but I couldn't find it. Where did I overlook it somewhere? Can you tell us how to get to it?
Yeah, it's not published. I could send you a copy. You can be a nice little beta reader. That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, you had me on your show. I could send you a copy of it, read it. And it's a nice, easy read because it's, I think, 200 pages. When we figured out if it gets printed, it'll be about 200 pages. And a lot of it is text messages and emails because the girls are talking amongst each other over the phone. So
okay.
That's kind of cool because it's a different format. There's not many books that are done like this.
Yeah.
A couple, the To Be Honest series, that's one of them. But her book is all text. Mine is text and regular format print, because I was thinking in my head that any kid who doesn't really enjoy reading, they would read the regular format to get to the next text message. So I was trying to do it like as an incentive. What's that phone, what's that message going to be next? I'll read this and then I'll get to that next text message where all the dirt is. So that was my thought process on that.
Good. That's good.
Yeah.
I read books, but I don't know the process of them. And I guess timeline. What does timeline look like?
I don't know.
You're like,
we just started to publish it in January, February 3rd. She submitted the first couple of them. We've only done 5. She submitted to, I think, 10. 5 requested a full manuscript. So I've gotten a couple declines. We're still waiting on some, but then there's like a whole list of other publishers she still has to submit to. So it might take a while. And then from then on, even if somebody says yes, then it might be like a year 18 months about to publish it and get it out there. So I don't think people realize how long it takes for a book to get out there. It's a really big process, long, arduous.
No, it's good to know, because I want people to appreciate that.
I don't think any of that. I had no idea hoops you have to jump to get your book published. I mean, unless you self-publish, which, you know what, that's really tough too. You have to have a lot of money and a lot of time to do all that work on your own. Like, it's really hard. It's not easy.
And that's something good to bring up. I'm hoping that, on my Twitter, I know that I have a lot of authors on there, because I keep trying to push for them, because I see it and I read their tweets on all of their emotions that they go through from the waiting process, or even getting the, oh my gosh, I sold one book or whatever. So it's a big deal. And I'm sitting there throwing my face in there going, hey, I'm here to help kind of highlight your stuff, because I want you to get out there. But I think for some reason they kind of overlook it. I'm like, hello, but
very introverted, so maybe that's part of it. But also, I've been, it depends. Like, I have a lot of followers, so I'm trying to shove you out there too, because I get it. Like, it's hard to reach people. You would think it would be easy, but it's really hard.
No. And so, but I do hope that I brought this up because I want to say, I hope that they pay attention to this, because obviously I want to attach this on there, because I want them to hear from you who's been going through this and are going through this, the struggle, but the rewards, so that they know not to give up. And if they believe in something, they're going to do it, and get it out there. So talk about that, so that way they know too.
Well, now you're hearing my dog.
All right. My
she's
kids
like,
gave up. They fell asleep.
oh, guys. She's so excited. Well, basically, with my process, like, I sent out, I had to choose between traditional and self-publishing, and because I'm poor, I picked traditional. So I'm like, I'll just write a bunch of queries. I don't have time I don't have money. I can't do it myself. So I sent, my first mistake was that I sent out like 30 queries of my very first draft, which is like the biggest mistake anyone could ever make in life. So I got tons of rejections right away. I'm like, what? And then I like fixed it like a few more times, and I kept sending queries out here and there, was getting nothing. I think I sent out about 70 queries altogether. I got nothing. But then I decided to enter one of those pit mads on Twitter, and I wrote a little pitch, stuck it out there, and then my agent found it, and my agent is amazing. She is the best human. Like I couldn't even have like written up a character.
She's gorgeous too. I saw her.
Like, that's how great she is. And me and her clicked. She was like, wanted to sign me just based on my blurb, because she's like, I've been looking for a book like this. This is crazy. She's like, I really love your concept. I'll work with you. And she liked that in my query, I said I'd work hard, because I would, because I never wrote a book before. So she liked that. She liked that she would be able to kind of collaborate with me almost in a sense. And I'm like open to it because I don't really have any experience. So she helped me with some things, tighten up my script a lot. Also like taught me a lot about the business, gave me recommendations for writing books that might help me with she's so good. Like she's and just a sweet, good person. Like, awesome. And first deal was Joe Exotic. So she just landed that. I could talk about it now because it's out there. Well, you can't talk about, everything's like right. Hush hush. The publisher actually releases everything. So that was her first deal. She's a go-getter. She's I can't say enough good things about her. So awesome. I was so excited. I'm like, oh my gosh, you have Joe Exotic as your client. I'm totally signing on. Sorry, just based on that.
Oh my gosh.
I'll be your other client, so yeah, so she's really good. So she's submitting to publishers now. So we'll see how that goes, and it will be fast. Every day on Twitter, like I'll get like under my pin tweet, which is my blurb about my book, like I get parents every day. I got 2 today. Can't wait for this to be published. I have a child with ADHD. This is a book I would definitely buy. Let me know. I'm like, oh, I'm trying.
Yeah.
Trying.
I have a feeling it's going to happen. One, because you have the determination of this, but you believe in it. That's the other thing. And she believes in it.
Not only does she struggle with her own, with her disability and controlling things, but other people, like all of her friends, are struggling with things too. And she actually helps out some of them with the techniques she's learned from her own disability, from her own therapist. So It's like, you see that everybody is struggling and everybody lashes out days. We just have to be aware of that. Everybody has a struggle, and we all have to respect each other and understand and be compassionate and kind. And that's kind of the whole theme of my book. So it's great that you brought that up because it worked right in.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. I think more people need to reach out and express how they loved the book, because
I do that. I just read a couple books, and I reached out to the authors and told them how much I loved it, and it was so great. And then they responded to me, which was awesome. Great. I think that's so cool. Like, if my book got published and somebody I'll reach back out to you and be like, thanks so much for supporting me and liking my book. I mean, that's so cool. I was so excited when they got back.
It is exciting. No, I bet it would be. And I think it's important because you put so much into it. You want to know. It isn't so much for your pat on the back. It's so much, in a sense, but I think just to know that everything you did wasn't in vain.
Right.
And that...
did I make you feel? Like, did you feel what I was trying to make you feel? Did you feel that? If they did, you're like, wow, like that's the biggest compliment ever, I think. Not even saying like good book, like, oh, I cried or I really felt bad for her. Like that's like, wow, I touched you in that way.
Well, I'm so thankful you took the time to speak with me today.
Oh, had me on. This is great. I had fun.
No, me too. And thank you. I'm so happy that you came on our show, and John for his presence in the background over there, like some. I'm talking about you again. Should I unlock the door and let you out? He's so funny. Okay. Anyway, so thank you so much. It was good seeing you and talking to you. Yeah, nice to meet you too. All right, you take care, and I'll keep in touch.
All right, thanks. See
All
you
right,
later.
Take care. Bye-bye.